Hey guys, what's up? It's Finch here. We're going to be going over the OU tiering survey for the month of October today. In this video, I'm going to be giving my responses to all of the questions in the survey. I already filled it out, but I'm going to be going over my thoughts on each and every one of them. And then I'm hoping to make another video in 5 to 7 days going over the responses of the collective community, including the qualified player base, those who play a lot in the ladder and tournaments, and the general player base as well, touching on how everyone felt. I do want to say first and foremost, sorry for the lack of uploads. I did explain them all in my most recent fully live video, but I do want to touch on it again. It's just been a really busy couple months. I've had some commitments to family. I've had a lot of other priorities in life pop up, and some things I've been enjoying, such as baseball season were going on. But now I have a couple more hours of free time most nights, and I'm going to get back in the flow of things. Maybe not uploading every day, but at the very least a couple times a week. And I do have a lot of things in mind that I want to be going to, things I'm working with other people, and overall I'm just in a pretty good state of mind at the moment. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into this. Before we do the survey though, how is everyone? Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know something exciting that's happened within the last couple of months where I haven't been as active. I really love hearing from you guys. I love the community that we've built, and I in no way intended to be less active as a part of it, but that community really is special to me. Your viewership means a lot to me, and I'd love to hear how everyone's doing. So, feel free to shoot me a message on Discord. Let me know in the comments down below. How are you guys doing? What exciting has happened? Anything, just whatever you want. I have that one guy in the comments that always writes, "I love" or "I hate birds" in the comments every single time. That's what you want to say. You want to say, man. Whatever you got to do. But no, I always love hearing from you guys. Just hit me up. Anyway. Let's go ahead and get started here. So what is your username? Obviously, that's going to be same old, Finchnator. Nothing has changed there. Okay? Now, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy the current metagame? See, do you enjoy playing it? Unenjoyable would be 1, of course. 10 would be as enjoyable as possible. So I'm at a crossroads between 7 and 8 for this one. Admittedly, the tier has seen maybe slightly better days, but it's actually at a pretty good point. The rest of Pokemon I don't love facing. Heatran is really tough. Kyurem can be really challenging as well. There's super duper strong Pokemon that are challenging, like Urshifu Rapid and Specs Dragapult. There are really defensive Pokemon, but all in all, they're all pretty balanced. There are a lot of checks and counters to most things in the metagame. There are different styles that are valuable. Bulky offense is peaking now, when it previously wasn't much of a presence this generation, which I really love. One of my favorite archetypes, and all in all, I'm pretty content. So I think I'm leaning towards giving this an 8. I'd say this is probably the second best metagame we've seen all generation. There aren't any things that scream, "Oh my god, I need a ban ASAP." There really isn't, there isn't things that are too limiting, but there are some limiting factors, so, kind of where you'd expect it to be. And I think we're in a good spot. I think we've done some good things tiering-wise to lead up to this point, and I think now we're kind of at a stable point until the new releases next month. So yeah. Next up. Now this is a bit of a slightly different variant of that same question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good do you find the current metagame to be? C, do you find it competitive? Now in this scale, 1 would be uncompetitive, whereas 10 would be competitive. So on this, I'm slightly less high in it than it is the enjoyability. I think it's, maybe a 6 or a 7, probably close to a 7 is what I'm likely to give it. I do feel there are some limiting factors. Again, things like Kyurem are really hard to keep in check consistently. Pokemon like Weville, in the long haul, with heavy-duty boots can be really painful. The inability to make progress with some teams is pretty challenging as well. Things like Future Sight, they can be pesky. Specs Dragapult is very hard for offense to check. Those little things make me lean towards more 7 than, say, 8 or 9. But it's really hard to find a metagame that would be a 9 or a 10. So being already in that 7-8 area is pretty good. And in my opinion, the metagame has a lot more positive things going for it, and a lot of good momentum as opposed to the alternative. So I'm happy with that. Definitely think we're in a pretty good spot. Let's keep going. Alright, so now we're discussing some Pokemon, maybe abilities, other things in the metagame that are worth noting as well. So, which statement most accurately describes how you feel about Kyurem and SSU? So we restructured it. We used to do this on a 1 to 5 scale. Now we're doing it more as answer-based, because we feel the 1 to 5 scale is pretty vague. I got some messages about it, and we think this is the best way to accurately capture the essence of the player base and really figure out how to best and capture what people feel about these Pokemon. So let's go through these answers and just give some brief thought processes to why we chose them, and then also my thoughts on Kyurem itself. So Kyurem is entirely balanced and no tiering action should be taken. Pretty straightforward. That's like answering a 1 almost and saying that, nah, I don't think this is something that's on my radar. I don't feel very troubled by Kyurem. It's just not a big deal, and that's fine if you feel that way, of course. Another one would be Kyurem is generally balanced, and I would not support any tiering action. This is like, okay, I see why some people complain, but it's still pretty balanced. I don't struggle with it very often myself, and I don't mind I don't mind it. I would not personally support a suspect. Like, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's like a 2. Next one would be Kyurem is generally unbalanced, and I support it being suspected. So this is like, okay, this is really challenging. I'm forced to run one of a small handful of checks. I'm not sure if that handful is too small or not, but it's a limiting factor. Something that I think deserves more discussion, more attention, likely a suspect. That's like a 3.5 or a 4. And the next one is Kyurem is broken. I support cheering action, and that is like basically an outright 5. Like, this Pokemon has very few, if any, counters. It makes the game really linear, not fair, and I do not enjoy it being a part of this metagame. So then there's also the 5th option. I have no current opinion on Kyurem and wish to abstain. So abstaining is an option as well. We didn't previously have that, so people had to answer these questions. We don't feel that's fair, so I think that's the best way to do it. I didn't want there to be a different amount of responses to one question or another, because then, like 100 people that really only care about one Pokemon just only respond, and that kind of defeats the purpose of the survey. So we thought this was the best middle ground approach, because if a lot of people are really indifferent on a Pokemon, that also could be saying something in and of itself. So yeah. Sorry, I had to take a sip. I haven't actually been talking and narrating like this in a long time. I mean, I do a lot of phone calls at work, and I talk a lot with my family at home, but being able to really engage you guys and talk about this subject matter, especially after a long day of work, is definitely a learning skill that I've got to do a little bit of relearning. So my apologies if my form is not 100% crystal perfect. Crystal perfect. I was going to say crystal clear, but then it didn't make sense. I was going to say perfect, and just it merged into one. I'm not really sure what's going on. Oh boy. Tangent time. Love that. Anyway, so circling back to Kyurem itself, I feel as if there are a handful of things that really handle it. Things like Sizzler, things like Roost, Volcarona, Pokemon like Blissey, and even Chansey if we were to see it. Especially defensive Tyranitar as well if it lacks Focus Blast. I mean, the list goes on. There are, that small handful, but even like Assault Vest Melmetal, I guess. And then there are teams that like, I don't really check it, but my Dragonpulk can Revenge Shield even through a substitute. My Weville avoids to a kill from the subsets. And it could beat it up. And it doesn't really one-shot a ton of things. And that's like, okay, fair, but, at the end of the day, there's pretty limited, like, true counters to it. And considering it's pretty hard to use things like Volcarona and Blissey consistently, it leaves you really with just things like Sizzler. And Sizzler you can't use on every single bulky offensive team. So I'm at a point where, yeah, I'm thinking Kyurem actually might be a pretty problematic presence in the metagame right now. And I'm not just saying that because I got absolutely obliterated, body bagged by it recently. And I probably will upload to my channel, so stay tuned for that. Neither here nor there. But I don't think it's like outright broken necessarily. I don't think it's like we have to quick ban it. But I would not oppose a suspect. In fact, I think I would support a suspect. I'm not saying I would vote ban right now, but I definitely think that if anything were to be suspected, Kyurem would be the primary subject that I would like to see. So I'm going to go ahead and give it what would kind of be like a 3.5 or a 4, probably a 4 in the regular survey, and say Kyurem is generally unbalanced, and I support it being suspected. With that said, though, I don't know if I really would vote ban. I mean, we got potential new releases coming out soon, and who knows what's around the corner. I feel like it might be a little too late. It's hard. I think that a suspect allows the player base to determine what should or should not be voted on. But, rather what should or should not be banned through that vote. So I think that's the best way to do it, because it's pretty mid right now. I think that's worth noting. So yeah, I think that's how I feel. Next up, what statement most accurately describes how you feel about Magnet Pull next year? Now this is a new one, something the council has been discussing a lot. Magnet Pull arguably has a really strong case to be banned. And it's hard because it definitely is different than things like Arena Trap and Shadow Tag, even fundamentally, but also like application based as well. Obviously, the little trapping abilities, that's one very important similarity, but only being able to trap certain steel types. I mean, Magnus is not trapping Heatran, for example, unless it runs the Assault Vest coat set, but neither here nor there. Being able to rid things like Ferrothorn, Melmetal, Skarmory from that game suddenly makes it much, much more challenging for those teams that have those Pokemon to keep up. Coupled with the fact that Magnus already is a pretty good Pokemon as is, it has a lot of things going for it, some status, some offensive presence, etc. I almost feel as if Magnet Pull's presence in the metagame is not the most healthy. But notice how we use the phrasing uncompetitive rather than broken or suspect worthy, and further discussion rather than suspect in this one, because we're not there yet. And I can tell you with confidence that we're not going to ban Magnet Pull before the new releases. We're not going to ban them in October or November, but it's worth discussion. And I think that this is a topic that a lot of people should be discussing right now. And I think we're probably going to get a lot of people that I don't have a real opinion on it, and they really want to think about it more, but I think this is something that we should keep discussing over time. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments, on Discord, etc. And I think it's going to be something that pops up in metagame discussions right as well. It's tough to toe the line between it and other trapping abilities, but there certainly is a fine line between them, and we have to figure out where to actually draw the line in terms of tiering. So, I guess in conclusion, I'm just talking about a bunch of lines and nonsense, and let's move on. I'm going to go ahead and say that it is generally balanced, and I would not support... it's tough, because I kind of would support discussion. I fall between the second and the third one, but I'm going to lean towards the second because I don't think now is the best time for that. I think that once BDSP comes out and we see what we have, what we don't have, and where the metagame is going to kind of settle in the coming years, then it would be a better time for that. So maybe if this comes up again in 4 or 5 months, six months, then I think it'd be time for a larger discussion. Next up, which statement most accurately describes how you feel about Heatran and SSOU? This is an interesting one. The Magma Trapper, the sole true Volcarona answer, the really staple steel type of the metagame right now, if you will. Heatran has long been discussed as a potential suspect in Generation 7 and 8. While it did lose Z moves, it's still as strong as ever. Things like Tox Effects are often tempting like Shed Cell, Lander's T-Rank especially defensive, even things like Assault Vest knockoff Tornadoes are coming in. They're really just trying to dissuade it. Getting a knockoff on Heatran is huge. Finding ways to chip it down is immense. But all in all, it finds ways to carry its weight. It's a very, very good Pokemon. Lots of things it can do. You can even see Eruption sets, offensive sets, be it Specs or Scarf, finding a way into teams as well. I think Heatran is great. I think you can do a lot of things, but I don't think it's broken right now. I've seen a lot of teams with things like Shed Shell, Toxapex, especially defensive Tyranitar. Guard Jump is pretty common. Slowking and even Slowbro with Scald, they're coming back a little bit. They're not great, but they handle the trick. A lot of rogue knockoff with things like Regenerative Tornadus can kind of come in and out. Obviously, Tornadus doesn't deal with it one-on-one, but takes it, gets a knockoff, go to your water type. Finny is very good. Earthquake, Slowking, Galar. Kyurem can tank any one hit and threaten it with Earth Power, Roost Up, etc. I think there are a lot of Pokemon that Heatran does have to be very scared of. I don't think it has a limited amount of counterplay like Kyurem. Well, it is limited, but not limited to an unruly or unnecessary extent. I also think Heatran is needed defensively a lot more than it is offensively, therefore making those counters even stronger as measures against it. All in all, I think I'm going to give Heatran, Heatran is generally balanced, and I would not support any further cheering discussion. I get why people think it's broken. Magnus Storm Taunt, obnoxious, Earth Power, great coverage option, has some good other options too. It's a strong metagame defining Pokemon, S tier without a doubt, but is it broken? No, not at all in my eyes. So I wouldn't support a suspect. I wouldn't support much further discussion right now. I would keep an eye on it, but that's about all. So I give it a 2. Next up, what statement most accurately describes how you feel about Weville and SSOU? Now, Weville is top because about a month or two ago, I actually would have said Weville is generally unbalanced as support being suspected. Really, really hard to switch into in the long haul. It found ways to outlast checks despite being more fragile due to heavy-duty boots and finding openings with great synergy with common U-turn Pokemon, Volt Switch Pokemon, and all in all, I thought Weville was just one of the best Pokemon in the game. I think it still is, but I think people are getting better against. We're seeing more things like Priority Ball Punch from Scizor, more bulky Metal, a lot of Tapu Fini, Toxapex with Toxic to help deter it. Revenge killers that can actually handle it, like Tapu Koko, rather than just Dragapult on every single team, and so on and so forth. All in all, I believe that Weville is still a very good Pokemon, and there are some games where you wish it didn't last as long as it did. But it also serves some nice roles that I really love, like being an Ice Resist and a Ghost Resist, and even a Dark Resist as well. Coupled with the fact that it's got Priority Ice Shard, function as Speed Control, and that it definitely finds a way onto a lot of my teams, and when I do use it, it can be a massive threat. But is that massive threat enough to translate into being broken? No, not in my opinion. There's more than enough counterplay to it in my eyes, and all the patterns and game flows and synergy with things like Future Sight, Teleport can go such a long way for it. I don't necessarily know if that means, oh hey, we have to ban it right now, because I don't think we do. I don't think it's close to being over the edge at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2. I feel pretty similarly to about it as I did Heatran. Sorry about that. And we're going to wait and see if that changes or stays the same, or if Weville sees a sharp decline in usage. So stay tuned for that in the future. Next off, which statement most accurately describes how you feel about Dragapult and SSOU? Dragapult is a super duper polarizing Pokemon. At one point, it definitely would have gotten a 3 or a 4 from a lot of people, saying it's unbalanced or broken. Seeing how well it did against offensive teams, and that still is the case, but I don't necessarily know if I would ban it right now. I feel as if we're seeing an uptick in things like Blissey, especially defensive Toxapex. A ton of Assault Vest Tornadoes T's are popping up right now. Dark types galore, so much, and also revenge killing options for it. Things like Zeraora seeing more usage. Weville with Ice Shard, a great. Scizor with special defensive sets, got Bullet Punch to take it out from low. Also tank 2 Shadow Balls with ease. Tyranitar is slightly upticking, as well as Hippowdon still maintaining its uses, especially defensively speaking. Dragonpulk is great. It has good coverage, amazing speed, it's strong enough. It even has a decent set mix if you don't want to go with the spec set, which is probably the lone set I would look at in a suspect context. But all in all, I firmly believe that it is not worthy of suspect right now. I think if we go back like 2 or 3 months, I would have given it a 3, like I would have 1 or 2 months ago with Weville. But right now, I'm not there yet. I think I'd give it a 2, and that's a pretty firm 2 at the moment. So I'll have to wait and see if that changes or not. What do you guys think about Dragonpulk? Broken, not broken? Let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, is there anything else not already mentioned that you want to see the council look into in the near future? Not available. Any other comment section? I don't have any, but if you guys have any, please write them here. And yes, I played in the World Cup, and played Snake right now, and I'm at top 150. I do have an alt in the top 150. Yeah, so that'll do it. I think that's all I have for the time being. Guys, thank you so much for all your support. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And again, just like had a comment question, how you guys been lately? Let me know one exciting thing or one noteworthy thing that's happened over the last couple months, either on here or on Discord if you don't want to talk in public, of course. Let me know. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hoping to get this up on Friday or Saturday. I am graduating college finally this weekend. I actually graduated like back in 2020 as I was uploading a whole slew of videos in this channel, but I wasn't able to graduate in person, so I'm going up in person. It's our homecoming weekend, and I'm going to graduate on Sunday in person. It's going to be a ceremony. It's going to be really cool. Very much looking forward to it and seeing my entire family. I love them with all of my heart, and it brings me joy that we can all get together at this time, especially because of all that's happened with the pandemic. And it's going to be a genuinely great weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully I'll be able to share more Pokemon thoughts with you guys again in the near future, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for sticking with me over these couple of months of inactivity, and I hope you all have a fantastic day, night, or whatever it is when you watch this. Thank you guys so much, and bye.